Good evening, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to BeoTalk 293. Uh, as per usual, not a lot chill anymore, other than go to Skinny Play
Sad.
and buy yourself a cover. If you want to sponsor the show, let me know.
We'll
I'll
take it.
yeah, come join the Discord. We're at 944 members.
Nice.
And be the first to know everything. A lot of interesting members, actually. Something to come back to later, but apparently, um, the Nanian or something
Yeah.
is talking with Netgear and updating their firmware so that master or multi room works properly on their
On
how
their
to set.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Well, that's good.
amazing that community members take the time to do that sort of stuff. Uh, and thank
Yeah, I
you.
was reading through the network stuff as well on the Discord. It's well, I guess it's a change towards positive that people are figuring it out. It's more or less for the sake of the network link and distribution of the sound throughout the house, especially when
Yeah.
you get into more and more B&O pieces. So
Also, if you want to watch us on Twitch for whatever reason, go do
we're
that.
still there too.
We're still there. And yeah. Okay, that's it. How was your week?
Not bad. We finally got to be a Sound Core, and then we got snowed in on Friday, pretty bad, like pretty bad, but it's all melted now, so it's good. Uh, and yeah, I was able to grab one before we shut down for the weekend to play with it.
As in borrow or quick fingers?
No, no, no. This one is gonna go into the shape in our showroom, but I'm like, I wanna give it a test and spend some quality time with it on
Caress
the
it a little
weekend
bit.
and listen to it. Yeah. So I brought home the brand new BeoSound Connect or Beoconnect Core. I call it Core Connect. I'm gonna refer to it that way for some reason. So I apologize to BNO and everybody that's watching because that's just
The
my dyslexia.
BCC.
And that's a very weird term and a shortcut abbreviation. At But anyways, I also brought the old hockey puck, oversized hockey puck full of plastic. It's definitely nowhere near as solid as a solid aluminium. I really like the ports.
Yeah, it's
If
done
I'm to,
nicely for once.
it's
It's
done
also in
very
metal.
nicely. If I'm gonna start talking about it, I guess from the outside in, yeah, it's one single piece of metal. So I don't know if these must be stamped or machined out or whatever. They look very, very, very nice. And yeah, it's got this like me and Mike were talking before we went online on air. It's got this very iPod classic look. They could have almost put the tick 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 wheel on it just for this for the volume, but it looks like to me it reminds me of like a high end ice cream package for some reason, with the little glazing on the top. But it's very presentable as far as like having that sitting on the table versus this uh anonymous box that's it's cheesy, and I'm glad that it's been replaced. And also, my biggest favorite of it is that if you do get the B&O braided power cords and you plug that into that, it has a much more sexier look than our little USB-C nonsense. I appreciate that for the time being, what it was, obviously, because there was nothing better. But speaking of moving on, I think that B&O has done a great job at this thing. And I'm not saying that because I'm working for the company, but I'm saying that because I really actually appreciate the product. And part of my experiment and review was also I set my girlfriend down in front of it and played her the old core and played some tracks. I think the best one, and everybody knows it, Michael Jackson, "Man in the Mirror." The way it starts and the way like that is a very good demo for vocals and the effects and highs and mid range and so on till the bass kicks in. And I played her the core connector BeoSound Connect core, and She's like, yeah, that sounds very nice. And then I put it to the core because I had them all on the same network. So I basically just joined the core, plug in the
Hmm.
power link, and press playback and put it to the same volume. And yeah, it's almost like listening to from the 18s. I wouldn't go like you would go back to 8000s in performance
Yeah, that kind of
acoustically.
makes sense. It's a bit, it's not bad, but it's a bit lackluster compared.
It's definitely noticeable. Like
Yeah.
it's undeniably noticeable. Now, to me, 18 sound funny without the sub, so I actually tied in a little egg of mine into it. And the Lab 11, I was actually surprised, man. I've never heard that sub play the bass the way it had played on the weekend from the Core Connect or Connect Core. And as you suggested, I did that test as well, where essentially how I had it set up for PowerLink setup. It was obviously hardwired into this. It would go into RJ45 BNO PowerLink splitter.
Hmm.
Then it goes to each speaker, and then I also played with these Amazon RJ45 splitters. They buzzed, so I tossed that. And I plugged in the BeoLab 11 into the left power link from the 18 that was left over, I guess, because I could have. Doesn't matter which one you plug in, you get both channels. And I was very much surprised by the clarity of the sound, and just overall presence of the music. It's very very nice, very very lively. And I then did the same thing where I had set up a manual preset on the theater with exact same distances from the speakers that I put them all at 3 meters. And then I did uh, the bass redirection, because on the Core Connect apparently your bass redirection goes down to -2 dBs when you have BeoLab 18s set up to it. I don't know why. So I left that at that, and I put that into the theater as well. Set it to -2 dB redirection levels for the PowerLink one as a hardwire source, and then I joined the same man in the mirror on the theater playing into just the 18s. And without the room comp, they sound identical to me.
Yeah, because I think, uh,
It's the same sound signature. Like without obviously the theater, once you hook the mic, you cook the sauce with it. That's the specialty on it, right? That corrects up to 10,000 hertz. But for something that is unable to do that, uh, this really they're on par acoustically. Definitely on par acoustically.
yeah, I think most of the sound change you get from this to the theater is actually the room compensation. And
Hmm.
that can be either a good or a bad thing, depending on what you like and also how your room is.
Yes.
And if you have a slightly weird mic, which there are a few out there, then the difference may be huge.
Hmm. So that being said, plays very well. uh Solid setup, like didn't have any issues as far as the app goes, because sometimes it conks out, whatever, you gotta reconnect, connect, and blah blah blah, shut the app down, and we all know the nonsense. None of that. So 10 out of 10 for the connectivity experience. I really appreciate the power in, just so I don't have to combat. This will ease more or less from the installer's perspective, to combat the power supply into the power bar,
Yeah.
where that hogs up either it. You always lose one plug on either side, right? It's
Yeah,
just
that's
that's
always
just
the
the
issue
law.
with a brick, unless you get the weird power extension where they offset 90 degrees. But
Exactly, but then you have an issue like how much can you put it flush against, like if you have a cabinetry or whatever that you're trying to hide all this shit behind, it becomes a challenge. So I really appreciate the fact that the power source is built in, even though I kind of bitched about it earlier that there was more room for something else, but this makes sense. I'm looking forward to hook it up in the core this week in the shop, and I'll report back on that. Now, how did you find the app as far as the speaker configuration? It's very very similar to the theater's experience.
yeah, it's quite easy. You just
So
pick whatever you have, but it's kind of nice because it loads the preset and you get the picture of your whatever you have. You don't look at the box, right? Like it's not like the
yes,
old core where it's just a puck. Your
But
excuse.
now to its core defense, or to core's defense, the old school core defense, it did show up me a pair of Lab 18s as well on
Yeah,
my app.
that's a recent thing.
So that's a recent update. So they
Yeah,
at least fixed that. However,
it only took
uh,
what, 8 years?
give or take. However, the one thing that I found a little weird is switching between direct mode and true image. I don't know if you've played with that and the envelopments and all that nonsense in there,
Not much,
but
really.
I had dove into that because I by default have to dive into it every time I set up the theater. So I kind of have a good understanding of what these sliders do in effect and psychoacoustic effect and how you perceive the sound in the room as a whole in particular. And what I found kind of interesting, that everything is at zero more or less. If you're in direct mode, whatever you do with the slider adjustments for the surround height, the what is it, the width, stage width, and envelopment has no effect on it. You have to be in a true image. But the weird thing is that when you go to true image, and I'm at volume 65 in a direct mode, and it is fucking slamming. It's very
Mm-hmm.
loud. If you go to true image mode, it drops the volume by what I would give it about numerically about 30 to 35. It stays at 65, but it drops the dBs like severely. And the only way to bring that up that I found in the advanced settings of the sound was upping the surround and upping the stage width, or going into the speakers and adjusting the dB levels. But then they are adjusted globally, so if you switch to direct mode, they're going to be even louder.
I'll have
It's
to check that out later.
Yeah, it's very peculiar. So that's what I found. But playing with those four sliders, man, you can make this thing sound insane. Like the true image math has gotten insanely good,
Well,
or
I
algorithms,
guess
I
it's
guess.
kind of the same on the theater, because if you are in a two-channel setup, as in like just stereo 50s, let's say,
Hmm.
and you have those, if you're in the music setup and it's not fully pushed out like stage width to the maximum, it's sort of it's quieter than when you
Hmm.
push that stage width all the way out. But it also is
It's weird
far
because
more
it's
like left right, so there is something going on.
the stage width has a bit of an inverse effect versus what it does in the theater. Where in the theater, the lower the number, the more mid-rangey and more compressed to the center the vocals are. Where in the BeoSound Connect core, it does it differently. It more or less, it doesn't expand it. It just brings it more towards you and louder. And obviously it ups the dBs in one way or two. So that's and for, I guess I didn't mention, I did test them with the 18s, if I don't know if I mentioned it or not, which I think everybody has a pretty decent idea of what they sound like that watches this podcast, at least. You've heard them, I'm certain, on more than one occasion, so you kind of can't imagine what the sound signature of that is. But I highly recommend entertaining the idea of the BeoSound or BeoConnect core. It's unbelievable. I'm going to order a cable so we get it this week, and I'm gonna jam that inside the back of the 50s with the USB-C out and see how cool we're gonna get with it, because I think it's gonna be epic. It already sounds insane. So having that inside compared to the old ASE engine, which is what's inside the core and what's inside the BioVision Harmony, this will probably be a completely different experience for the BLF 50 speakers and 90s, of course, but we don't have those. But I will definitely consider putting that into the back of my 90s once I unbox them.
I still have to like get a bit used to my room. I don't. I find it hard to say whether I hear a difference or not on the 50s. It sounds fantastic, but I'm not sure it how much of that is like pure settings related versus like an improved source or DAC or whatever. Because you just like with 90s or 50s or even 28s, right? Like you can make them sound so different with just settings, a few tweaks in there, here and there, and the signal isn't any different, but it sounds totally different. So I'll have to test that a bit. Like on PowerLink anyway, it sounded exactly the same. On USB, it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like placebo plays the role with the things too. Maxes, yeah.
Well,
Also
for sure,
poses
but like it's not a placebo on if you just have a set of 18 somewhere. Like I've never heard my 18 shake a cabinet, and it does where my TV sits now. Like I have this 6-drawer cabinet, and
having it playing through the Beoconnect core.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and the 18s actually make like these walnut drawers like audibly vibrate if you turn it to like 65. Which
yeah, dude, the 18 sounded insane compared to the like I had him play naked without the sub on the core and the core connect. And it's a big difference. It's a big difference. It's not even the bass, more or less, but it's also the dynamic range of the speaker has been improved completely.
Yeah. And I've always liked 18s, right? Like this is not a slight on the 18s, but the 18s were never like these bass monsters. But
no,
a year ago or even 6 months ago, I would have been 100% certain if I used 18s or 4 18s in the bedroom, I would have needed a sub for like good dynamics. Now, it's like we've been using it with the TV mostly and 18s, the Beoconnect core. And it's like, I don't know what to do with my 19 now because it's going to overpower everything.
I would still put it in with the 18s.
I mean, I'm
you
going to
can turn the
it
gain down so it's not that opulous, but I think it's it really helps the bottom end. Like even the Beolab 11, which is laughable subwoofer of the yesteryear's era, but beautiful design. It still sounded it rounded up the bottom very nicely.
It will for sure do that, right? But like it's also another thing to put in your room that you have to like put a placement somewhere, run cables to where my TV is. There's a door either side, so the only way I can actually like temporarily like hook it in is actually just run a cable along the floor and hope nobody trips.
Are you saying you're anti-subwoofer?
No, but it's almost not needed for look, if the room was bigger, then sure. But it's the bedroom is what, 4.5 by 5 or something like that, which is not tiny, but it's also not huge. It's just
Sigmund says, I understand the Beolab 18s and 19s are very close to Beolab. I don't think so. I haven't heard anything. Maybe 19. I could give you that, but 18s, I really don't see them going. They're selling very much a lot, especially now with the theater, because it's a much more feasible option than going with 28s for the rears. So I don't have any information that those speakers, maybe you guys know something that we don't know.
I could see them do it because they do weird stuff every so often, but
18s would surprise me if they discontinue them just out of the blue. There's no way, and they're selling. Why would you discontinue something that sells? 19, I understand.
Over on Twitch, generic enthusiast asks, look at my Essence Mark II with 2 PL. Glad there's a sound improvement on the BCC. Should I use a PowerLink splitter?
If you need to.
Well, it depends on what speaker you use. If you use 28s or something, then yes, because there's only one PowerLink port. If you use 50s, then no, because it's just, or 90s for that. But if you use 18s, 17s, you can loop it through. You can, if it's easier to wire, yes, sure. There is one in the box. Use the B&O supplied one, though, because it's shielded, and most of the non-B&O ones.
Hold on, what do you mean there's one in the box?
Oh, I got one in the box, a PowerLink splitter, one of those little...
Really? No, I got shit. We only got a power cord in here.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
it was
my box
shorted,
was
bro.
different.
Oh,
Anyway, you can get it
goddamn.
at your dealer, right? It's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they're not very expensive. But the B&O ones
Don't
are
buzz.
like they don't buzz, which is nice.
So, did you open like that?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And then you have two flappies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get the power cord in there, and that's it. So I don't know. Maybe you just got lucky, bro. Call this.
I don't know.
Anyways, so that's
Also,
the
it
box.
seems like there's signal degradation over power link, though. Not really, unless you say all analog speakers suffer from signal degradation.
Well, it depends how long or how far you're running the bloody thing,
Well, also,
and
like,
what cables do you use, and do you run them by the power lines and whatnot, and so on. Like, there's a lot to it.
but is every Bowers and Wilkins, like, suffering this issue? Is every Focal speaker suffering signal
Of course they are.
degradation? And also, does it matter? And can you hear the difference? Also, how would you drive those, like, digitally? Because they're not digital. I mean, I I still maintain to this day a lot of it is more so mastering and the initial package coming in if you're streaming it than anything else. Because, I mean, nobody complains about CD quality, really. Nobody goes to CD. If it's a good CD, right? Like, nobody goes like, ooh, I can hear it 16-bit.
Fair.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, and if you can, then like, okay, you need a home server and you need digital speakers front to rear, right? Like the whole chain needs to be digital. So
Yeah. I don't know. I just I never really experienced power link degradation. I've seen it, in
I mean,
old
you
homes when the
absolutely
mice
get
shoot
it if
through.
it's 20 plus meters, right?
Yeah, but that's very, very rare and far in between that you do that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, it's. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm saying it will be there, but it's 20 plus meters. I think it starts officially from like where it's like measurably noticeable that it's more than a percent or so when it's over 22.5 meters, which
Hmm.
is a long ass cable.
Yeah, that is. I don't like to run long cables. Well, if I do, it's more or less, Cat sevens, and I've never heard or experienced that there was any degradation of power link signal. But then again, depends, yeah, how long your runs are. So
Yeah, I mean, if you have something higher end like 28s, 50s, 90s, if you can keep it digital, why not?
exactly.
Uh, I also think the digital signal, by the sheer fact it is digital, will give you a slightly different sound signature. But I'm not sure if that is necessarily only quality versus how it's rendered and what does the rendering, right? Like I with the Connect Core, I think it's minimal. Plus, you're
Hmm.
always still dependent on the internal DACs anyway.
Yeah, up to 50s inside and 90s. So
Yeah, with regards to the 18s, I could see them dropping it, but that would be stupid because they're the most iconic thing they have right now.
hmm
I mean, the closest thing to being an icon next to 18s is an A9. Meaning they kept that around for another Mark V, right?
I don't
I
think they're gonna discontinue them. If they do, I think it's a mistake. And if they are going to do that, what are they going to replace them with? Because the 28s just, I'm sorry, they don't cut the mustard the same way. It's just they don't.
I think the 28s were kind of meant to be a replacement for the 18s plus 19.
Mm.
But I have a feeling, right? They can also tell in sales that with the price difference. Probably still like what happened with the 17s. The 17s are like they go lower and go equally as loud, if not louder. Were cheaper, and everybody still went for 18s. Like it wasn't even close. It was like an 8-2 split. That's why the 17s
Yeah,
are
it
no
was.
longer there, and they were on the same platform as the 18s. I bet you they
Yeah,
probably still sell more 18s than 28s.
I would say at least in our shop, definitely, because we sell very seldomly. We sell 28s. I don't know. It's just
I mean, there's also something about the look, right? It's like peak B&O.
yes, yeah.
It's
It's the most elegant speaker they have, iconically speaking, and just the recognition. Like everybody knows that that's a B&O speaker.
I see a discussion going about Mark IIing. Like officially, a Beolab 5 never had a Mark II other than changes, but I guess the Beolab 18 is the Mark II of the Beolab 8000.
Well, 8002s were there, right, as well. So
Yeah,
they
but
had
there
a
was
little
not,
bit of a
which was a
revamp.
technical difference, but not really a sound difference. Like it was minimal.
We just got a set of 6002s that double blown tweeters, right? Both tweeters gone. They're different tweeters than from the old 6000s.
Yeah, it was the same on the 8002, I think.
The
But
bass drivers are identical, but the tweeters are different, and obviously the amplifier board and so on and so forth below. It's a all new engine, I guess.
I think they were tuned to sound almost entirely the same because you weren't meant to go like I don't know, let's say one
Oh my
broke
god,
and you
yeah,
got a repaired unit. It's like, why is one speaker sounding so different?
yeah, that would suck. Well, it also looks differently because the little notification light is moved to the bottom, right? There's a whole thing of it.
Yeah, there were. I think on the 8000s that was there too, where one was behind the cloth and on the 8002 was below it, if I'm not mistaken.
8002s were, yeah, it was just like basically it was in the center of the bottom of the cloth in a little glass circle, right?
Yeah,
That was half mooning from the bottom out.
yeah, and the original 8000s had it behind the speaker cloth somewhere, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It's been a while since I looked at them. But I don't think they can Mozartify 8000s or 18s because where do you
I
put?
hope they don't, honestly. I really don't think that these speakers deserve more attention than they already have. I don't see how you would do it, and if you did it, make the lens on the top much thicker because you would need to put the touch plate interface somewhere on something. Would you now backlight it or not? Are we talking the same as the Bio Remote One deal that like you don't know where what is if until you have the lights on in the room? Because where do you fit all that stuff? And yes, I'm sure you could stuff some couple more chips and electronic boards in there to make it all work and be smart, or maybe just have them app controlled and so on. But I just don't understand where you would put all the Wi-Fi antenna deal because there's already four Wi-Fi antennas inside the speaker that receive the signal. So now you're gonna like have a fair bit of a conflict unless you use those same antennas to receive the Wi-Fi signal when they're in the app mode, and you can run them in both ways, wireless or Wi-Fi. I
Yeah,
mean, or power link from the bottom, but then it's a completely different hookups. Mozart doesn't have the same connectivity. Well, it does more or less, but you have a Toslink, you have Toslink in and out, which the Mozart platform speakers don't have, and you have RCA line inputs, which Mozart speakers sort of have with the 3.5 mil jack, right?
mm-hmm.
So, but there's no daisy chaining those. You have to have the splitters in order to daisy chain, let's say, instead of Beolab 8. Unless you want to stereo pair them, then I would suggest to run a network cable between them.
One of the
So,
biggest irks I still have with the Mozart platform Biolabs is that you don't have a loop through power link.
mhm.
I hate having to use that splitter being used to 17s and 18s.
Yeah, well, it makes it more messy, right? Because now it's something else to somewhere to be put, and you have an extra cable going. So that's one of those. Zygmunt question: I have a BeoCenter too that I would connect to to Ant Theater. Can I use a SCART to HDMI converter to connect BeoCenter to the theater and get both video and sound? Well, that really depends on the SCART converter, man, and how good they are. Because right now, I think that you can scavenge stuff is like China or Alibaba or Amazon, whatever. I don't think that you're not going to find one from AudioQuest or anybody that is of reputable brands now. I have few of them. I kind of gave up on it. That was back in the yesteryears of trying to mess around with the BeoVision 8 and even the BeoCenter 2, trying to put the SCART output out. I had a fully seated SCART output to a converter, and I've never had any luck with this. So if you get it, good for you. But I have my doubts.
It's a more problem of the standards of the day to the standards of these days than...
I think the only thing that you could do is just take the audio line output from the socket unit and plug it into the back of the theater to the USB-C to 3.5 mil jack. And then you are able to listen to your BeoCenter through the theater.
I mean, also, what does it output? Like 480p?
I think
or was it 720i?
720i, I think it was.
Which is, on any 4K screen, it's like, oh, if it's gonna look any good.
Oh, bro, that's like basically the quality that blown out of an image that I see myself in the Skype window is the size of a fucking whatever that DVD was able to play. Let's see, just out of curiosity, that kills the cat. I think I might have the BeoCenter 2 service manual so we can check the resolutions, but I really, bro, put the joint down. It's not gonna work, man.
I mean, I have a BeoCenter 2 and I love it, right? But I just have it plugged into my 50s and that's it. Like, the nice thing about it being able to play DVDs is that you can just burn a DVD audio CD and use it that way. Meaning you can have one disc in there with, 20, 30 gigabytes of music on there in folders that you can browse. And
MP3s.
Yeah, but that's it.
It was cool at the time, bro. It was cool at the time.
But for video, yeah, I wouldn't use it anymore.
No, that ship has sailed long time.
I mean, currently it'll be worse than just unpaid for network TV, which is kind of more goes to show how far we've come, right? Because we have free over-the-air TV here, and like your BeoCenter 2 that was extremely expensive at the time will have video out that's worse than that.
That system was designed more or less, and it was at the era where BeoVision 5 was cool. It was very cool, actually. And with that, it looked fucking stunning because the resolution, which now you could compare to a size of a tile on an average backsplash, versus now what we can get, it was 1-to-1. It was perfect. It looked great, obviously sounded great, but it's no bueno now, man. I think the only thing that you can utilize that is for personally what I would do. I don't even know how. I would probably get the HDMI SPDIF to HDMI of some sorts and try to put the if you have like music DVDs or whatever that or surround sound music that you can play on that DVD player and through the SPDIF pipe it into the theater somehow.
Maybe a bit out of left field, but if I were you, for a similar price, get a Beano TV of the time.
Yeah.
Like Avant 32, BeoVision 8, something like that.
Or BeoVision 10 even.
Yeah. I mean, you can get them for dirt cheap now.
Yes.
I mean, an Avant 32, it'll be a pain in the ass to move, but in the Netherlands anyway, you could get like a working, decent one without any real scratches or damage for like 125 to 150 euro.
Yeah.
And if you have a retro gaming console somewhere, hook that up. Use it that way.
Yeah, I had a client back in Calgary that they insisted for his kids and the grandkids now, right? When they come over, play the old Super Nintendo Entertainment System, bro. The Mario Kart.
Yeah.
That game divides families since whatever 1985 or whatever it came out. So I also been playing around on Friday since we were snowed in the shop, and took apart one of these finally.
Mm-hmm.
So I took up all the screws, and then we had to cut around the whole perimeter of the unit because it's obviously not. It's all glued together. But here's the display assembly, right? How it all comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's all one unit, which is great because you can actually remove it. Uh, and then what I was wondering if it's ever possible to do the backlighting, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at that, this is the keypad. There's really nothing to it here.
Yeah.
It's very, very thin. Show it from the other side as well.
It's next to nothing there.
It's next to nothing, but it's basically very it's very resemblant of the Beo4, except the buttons are plastic and they're glued on the rubber substrate.
Mm-hmm.
Which, in my opinion, step one would be if you could make that translucent.
Well,
Then
you have translucent keycaps you can print nowadays, so it should be doable.
yes, but the biggest problem that I come across with the logistics of it is this: they would have to redesign because these are metal click downs.
Yeah. Can't hear it.
No, and then I'll just pull the board out if I can. And yeah, like the board is extremely, extremely thin, as you can see. It's very, very minimal. So
Yeah,
I think that remote would need to get a little bit thicker.
Because wiring in an LED per button is going to be a pain in the ass, so you're probably going to do a strip on either side, more likely.
I think that would make the most sense, and then just backlight it on the translucent backpad and have the translucent prints.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you could do that with the current chassis design and not modify your entire production line of the aluminum shells. Because this you would probably rework anyways. It's not that much, quite honestly, in a 3D Studio Max or whatever the heck you guys worked on when you were designing this.
But
It is
it's
not
probably
much.
going to be 2-3 mil thicker, so you're going to have like raised buttons.
I don't think it would have to be as much thicker than what it already is.
No, but 2-3 mil isn't a lot, right? But it is if you come from fully flush flat to like raised buttons all of a sudden.
I agree, but I think there is a way to do it.
I just kind of hope they make a new remote.
That would be the best of the both worlds, in my opinion.
You can make it similar, but I don't necessarily need my remote to be that narrow.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
it's too narrow.
Yeah, like I could go as wide as a whole nother row of buttons essentially next to it and not have an issue with it.
Mm.
I mean, it's really slender. It's nice, but it's also kind of, you lose it a bit, and it's very light. There's no heft to it at all.
No, I agree. There is it's nice and slender, but I think that there's points where the sacrifice of the slender and sleek meets the real life functionality problems.
I mean, personally, if you make it one triple A wider, do that for backlighting. Then you have 3 triple A's in there.
Yeah,
that's fine with me.
So yeah, there is the. I
mean, 3 triple A's is still not that wide.
No.
Plus battery life for years, probably.
Well, I have to say the battery life has improved since the last update to the Be Remote ones through the theater updates. Updates. The battery life definitely is, and also responsiveness or response time of the remote. But yeah, I think that it's just there's a need for it, guys. Honestly, there is a need for it. It's been a long time. It's been what 11, 12 years since the Be Remote one has been introduced, and it's been asked for since then to have it backlit, which the backfire was also it's not designed for that, and it's never going to be like that. And then you come up with the Mark II that has a Bluetooth chip in it, so you basically reworked the entire board. I'm sure that uh, there could have been a place to put a couple micro LEDs or nano LEDs that you have, and just have it backlit in strategic points, and that's it.
It says the thin remote is iconic B&O. While I agree, the BO4 is a lot thicker, heavier, and wider.
And it's
And
more
that
iconic.
is, in terms of a shape and size, to me, much more a perfect remote.
Yes. You know what we forgot to talk about?
The
The,
other
the
error thing.
exactly.
I just put up a poll.
I know. I saw it. Is it who? It's really who?
I, I initially thought this was an artist of some sort.
Yeah, I couldn't like I'm other who because like others, it's like what are we talking cows here? But it's not that. It's some. I think it's some what Korean or Taiwanese. I don't remember. I read the article, but
The
I'm not.
script looked Korean to me. It's
I think
Asian
it's a
for sure.
Korean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's just this weird. I do like the floor stand. I mean, the table stand for the A2. I don't know. I don't think it's orderable separately, but I'm sure it's gonna be insane money as per usual. But I'm curious. I'm curious to it. Because I was reading about that maybe a month and a half ago on the Bio News, and obviously I'm not going to talk about it before I can't.
All these people are on drugs, man.
That's it. Feeling blue.
It's a very 90s vibe looking at it.
It looks like freaking the music video for Chemical Brothers. What is it? Out of Control.
Yeah.
See that I like. I dig that stand, man. If you have, see, that's what almost forces you to buy two of them, so you can have them stereo paired and have them use as an
What, and
actual
then you
speakers.
lean over them for better perspective.
That's it, man. I would do it.
I mean, it
So
is,
I think another
again, one of
venture.
these people are very sort of unhappy to be wherever they are.
Well, it was probably a snow day and he had to drive to work or take a bike, and his pants got wet, maybe chewed up by the chain, and now he's got to pose with the B&O product.
If this is
Probably.
fashion, I don't know. I'm not one for bullying, but I would have bullied somebody like this if this was like unironic.
I don't know. That's just we had people like that in the high school, and they used to sit like in the basement stairs by the gym where nobody would walk to other than the janitor.
You sort of be like, we made it through
Like the
Monday
it's
again.
like a modern emo is what it is, and I think that what's really burning her or his or she's them the hand is the fact that it's a blue color. I don't know. I guess it's cool.
Look, I'm not against any of these, but
It's not for me. I'm just gonna say
yeah,
straight out, it's not for me. I would never, like I understand that people are hip brand, and I kind of sort of now understand the mindset of a younger generation
I don't.
being dating with one, so I know how their thought process is. But it's a lot of influence thing, right? So
So I asked, like, do you know Adder, Ader, Error, or whatever the fuck it's called?
no,
And
I'm
even
not
the
cool
person
because of
that
that.
didn't say yes, I'm young and cool. They just
So
said yes.
I just I don't know. I understand that they do all these ventures. I'd rather do that with other error or somebody that's never been heard of than Balenciaga type. That's 100%. I do like the table stand. I have to say, like that's a nice. That's their design. It's not B&O. That's Other Error that did the stand, which I'm sure is gonna be more money than the speaker that sits there on top of it. But then again, uh, there is also proof of good design. A1 has been around for quite some time as well. The little burger.
What do we think the price of this will be?
Oh man, it's gonna be, I think, what, $400 for the stand, and another 4 or 5 for the print on the blue.
So 900 to 1,000 or something.
I think so. I don't remember. I was looking also at the pricing of it, but I don't remember how much it is. But it's gonna be. I wonder if Kareem was ordering it, because he was talking about it. I almost took his temperature, but you know what? If it's cool, get it in here, and we'll see. Somebody will buy it.
I mean, David says Beano should be timeless, not faddy. Well, I generally agree. These are limited runs on.
Yes.
On all these products, right? And if you're into the brand like the Supreme thing, again, not for me, because I'm here for B&O, not for Supreme.
Yes.
But I do sort of appreciate, in a sense, that the Supreme, or maybe this thing, pulls in eyes onto B&O stuff.
$500.
What, for the stand?
BeoTalk A1 Honor Error Edition with the speaker stand.
Well, expensive. It's not crazy.
Concept speaker back with pouch, €320.
It's not like the, oh god, what's the leather company?
Berluti.
Yeah, because that one was, I think, €300 for just a pouch. You could have your A1 in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's not too bad in terms of pricing.
I'm gonna get more soda. No, it's not. And you know what? It's like I said, it's somebody that enjoys that brand. It's a good collector thing for them. I don't even know. It's probably definitely going to be a limited production run, maybe 1,000 units, if not less. Because how many are you going to sell of those, right? Like they're most less. That's a targeted. It's a targeted market in Taiwan.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
for knowing what an A1 is and what you would do with it, I think it's very expensive. Though, if the label of a brand adds that much to it for you, I kind of understand.
But that's the same thing, more or less, like with the Berluti stuff, right? That the 90s sound the same, except that you got the leather shoes on the bottom of them.
Yeah, right? But it was a lot more bespoke, right? Also, if
I understand, yes.
It was essentially a bespoke edition with a different logo on it. Because I bet you can still order the 90s with the same leather on it. It just won't carry the Berluti name. And you'll probably still pay the same premium.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that they would. Yeah, they would. I shave your back. Because...
I mean, right now, probably, if you want a Berluti edition, you'll probably pay $250,000. Because back then we thought it was ridiculous. They were 120 odd grand or something for the Berluti version.
Shit, now you can't even get the basic ones.
Yeah. So, whilst I don't hate it, I don't care.
It's cool to me, that's where I leave it at. It's cool. And Setu, I would not buy it.
I mean, I kind of like the blue.
I like the stand. I don't care for the blue color. I'm not a big blue color at all. But I like the stand. The stand is sweet.
Yeah, I just use a nail in the wall somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
That's my solution.
It's easier.
And if I want to be fancy, I'm going to use a screw in the wall.
But it bounces when it's hanging. That's the problem. This
If
won't bounce.
if you turn it up, it'll vibrate. There's no way it won't.
Well, maybe it sits on those little micro rubber feet on the front,
I
and rubber
mean,
pad on the
put
back.
an
I'm sure.
A1 on the table. You'll get resonances from the table if you're at like 60% volume.
For me, I wash my car with that speaker or around, not with it, but like that's what plays in the garage when I go downstairs and wash my car, and I like it.
I put in
It's funny
the
because I bought
headphones.
the Ferrari one, and I don't want to do the headphones because I kind of want to be aware of shit, and I don't want to have people drive over my hose, right? But I used to have
Protect your
the
hose.
protect the hose, baby, and I'm a good hose protector. So yeah, I used to listen to the Explorer, and I'm like, man, that thing is good for like parks when you don't want to be obnoxious, but when you have shit going on and you want to listen to some music, it's the A1 brings a bigger pump to the play.
For in and around the house, I have an A5 for headphones.
Mm.
I haven't touched my A1 in like a year.
Should go out more.
Well, the only time I used it was when I was renovating the kitchen and stuff, because I literally had nothing else and everything
Yeah,
else was in boxes and still coming. But since then, uh, yeah, I haven't used it for anything. Like, I like it, right? But I just like the A5 is superior in every way,
oh yeah. Plus, you can charge your phone off it.
and it's
In
network attached, so you're not faffing around with Bluetooth.
yes,
Um,
the network attachment is a big deal now in B&O's terms, in my opinion. It's much better to deal with that stuff on the network than having it Bluetoothy. But it's a good speakerphone as well. That's one thing that I would give it as well.
yeah, yeah.
What's on
I
the
don't know.
chat?
Over on Twitch, Generic Enthusiast says looks like a 45-year-old's idea of marketing to youth.
Probably, but to me, I don't know, man. It's not for me. That's what I'll ended with. I just could care less about the little A1 blue thing with the stand. It looks cool. Don't
I
get me
mean,
wrong.
again, I don't mind them like doing these sort of collaborations because I don't think they're losing any money on it. It's more like they're losing, what you say, sort of, uh, their posture and or their like you don't look up to it as much as an independent brand because they're essentially telling people like we need other brands to attach to.
But if that's the channel to incite the youth of or wealthier younger generation of let's say Koreans that are obsessed with this brand to have a speaker from B&O, maybe that will trickle to some sales eventually because of the performance of the speaker and so on. That people will like, maybe I've never heard of this brand. Let me look at it, right? And then
Oh,
you
I could
never.
be totally wrong. I'm perfectly willing to admit that if they say like, oh, in Korea, like we can't get a foot in the door because of whatever, but because of this, it's fine, or at least the impressions on our general website go up 10x. It's like, okay, sure, it's completely wrong because I also don't know the what is it, Korean or Taiwanese market, right? Like,
Exactly. So that's like I'm not. That's why I'm not dissing it. Like I understand that. I appreciate the collab. It's probably it's great that they've announced it, but I don't think it's for we as a North American market or Europe are the target end for this. That's my opinion. If they need to penetrate the market somewhere else by doing something bespoke that propels the company, then give it. Like there's tons of companies that I've never heard of and designers I've never heard of. My girlfriend brings up all the time. Fuck, I don't know who's this and who's that, who's Johnny. Fuck, I know just the shoes that you returned 3 times because they're uncomfortable, but you like the brand for some reason. So that's the same, I guess, with this.
I mean, I'd rather they sell this pin thing to hang an A1. I'd buy
But
one of those aluminium pins to hang somewhere in the house with the A1 just dangling on it.
get the feet from the BeoSound 8.
Yeah, I
That's a
could.
peg. Those are hard to come by now, but they are still somewhere. I think we have a set. Hang your coat on it. I don't think it would hold that much. They would shear off like they always did with people placing the come in like with the broken foot and the screw part is inside. I'm like, oh, that's not good. And then they tried to glue it. Yeah, but I don't know. Good for them. I appreciate that they're doing something somewhere else. And I don't think. What would you come for? Like, how would you penetrate that market in America per se? What are you gonna paint a flag on it, American flag, and call it the MAGA edition, or I don't know, like.
If you want to upset half the country, then sure.
There you go. That would definitely get some tweets going. Fudge.
I think the US at this point is a very hard market, right? Because
Yes.
one side is like America, fuck yeah, and the other side is like it's all shit and terrible. But
Yeah.
we're also not moving, so
So yeah, that's
I don't know. Maybe you need to make like an American yin and yang version, like where you have one or the other, like one
what you're
with
gonna put
Trump's
in
face
America.
and one with I don't know, like it's an evil patriarchal empire or something like that.
A Confederate flag. Well, that would start some tweets too. But no, I don't know. I guess if they're hip, man. If you spend a few $1,000s on a coat from the other era, then I don't think you're making a mistake, no pun intended, to buy yourself a bag with a little speaker on it and look cool while you go get your expensive ice cream
I
or
mean, the
boba
thing
tea,
I
whatever.
find, and I'm not sure if it's down to B&O, the most offensive is the fucking models again.
Yeah, we're going back to the hungry
Like
people.
both this gentleman and this lady are severely derping out or on some very heavy drugs, right?
Maybe they're on antidepressants.
Apparently, Other Air is not a super expensive clothing brand. Yeah, compared to what? Compared to H&M, or compared to like I don't know, Gucci.
Yeah,
I don't. I really don't know.
I haven't heard from them or about them at all till the announcement came out that B&O's doing a collab with them, and I went on Google and looked up the company and what they do and so on. So that's how I got introduced to it. But you know what? If it sells there and they sell out and it was successful, then good for you. That's all I can say. I'm sure you made your money on it.
Well, I'm not against a bit of marketing, even if it doesn't initially lead to a bunch of sales or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just you have to be you have to have a plan with it. They probably do, but they're not telling us.
Nope.
So, God, who knows? God, I drank way too much water. I need to get me a...
Go to the loo. There you go.
Enjoy,
So, anyways,
enjoy
enjoy myself by myself on my own. So, if you guys have any questions, shell them out. But yeah, I think it's a good idea that they've done something like that. It's not for everybody, not that, and it's definitely, like I said, not for US. But if people buy it, they buy it, and that's all I have to say to that. But I would want to get back to that Bio Remote one deal because it just irks me now that I have taken it apart, and I'm keep thinking how to do it just to backlight the bloody thing. It would be very nice if I think the answer isn't a rubber pad. That's what I think. If they replace the rubber pad with translucent one, there is a plastic edge around it, so you wouldn't have any light leaking to the sides around the edges of the remote control or the aluminum chassis. And I think there is enough room, maybe not in the display itself per se, but inside here to put a ambient light sensor like they did on the old BeoVisions of the yesteryears, so at least it knows that if it's in the darkness. Or I think a gyro would be a better idea too. Maybe button activated, that you can have it turn on as soon as you press a button. But then again, that defeats the purpose, because what button are you trying to press? I think the motion activated backlighting would be probably the better way to do it.
Just have it always light up when you like go like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like if they put a gyro in there, right, a sensor that as soon as it's detects motion, and especially like if you do it upright, that it just lights up, that it knows that okay, I'm being looked at. Would that conflict with the wall bracket system? I don't think so. Maybe
Just
when you
any
would
kind of
walk by.
movement.
But yeah, because once you have it clicked on the STB B&O wall bracket, I don't think that it just would, because you would pick it up from it. So as soon as it would you detect this motion, it would light up. I think that would be a very good idea to do. And I don't think these chips are that large that they couldn't be considered as a part of the Mark III design on this board. And
but that's
yeah,
we're still
really
assuming, right, that they're going to keep it exactly the same way, like that they're not coming out with a new remote at all.
Well, but they're pretty stubborn about it, though, Mikey. Like they're pretty stubborn about this chassis. That's what I'm thinking. And maybe, I don't know. God knows how many they had made, right? Of the because if they introduce the backlit remote, I'm sure that the sales of they're not going to diminish completely, but they're going to be very limited. Because why would you buy a remote? If it's already $600, why not pay? If it's 800, and well, it is what it is. You're buying a premium product, but have something that is much more easier to use. Like if you look at the Control 4 remotes with those big LCD screens and the charging cradles, they're about $1,000, $1,200 Canadian. But still, like you're looking at $800-900 to spend on it. And people do, because at the end of the day, like if I put in fucking $40,000 with the system of Tabarnak, I'm gonna get myself a nice remote control that I can control it with, because that's at the end of the day, all the fancy servers and your amplifiers and these Beoconnect cores and stuff, that's all hidden away. You don't touch it, and let alone the fact that the only button on the Beoconnect core is the reset, right? So you can't really navigate that without anything else other than the remote control that is paired Bluetooth to it, or your app. So you're tied into the post, tied into the phone again. So I don't know. Leave some comments if you guys think that I'm on the right track with it, or if I'm just dreaming as far as, if I were to engineer it, how would you do it? So
I have a feeling a lot of what you said is correct, but it definitely comes down to the price. If they
yes.
have a new remote that is slightly wider, that it has more app functionality, so to say, but is backlit, but is like over $1,000 USD, would you still buy a BR1? A lot of people will probably say a BR1 is sufficient.
I would buy one just for the TV. Like I would eat that. I would eat that with the purchase. Like I would buy one for the theater, because the remote that I use the most with the theater, I would like it backlit. Like the one that I have on my bed, I can find a standby button, no problem. And also when I go in to my apartment, I open the door, there's always light anyways already. So and quite honestly, I push my button 1 or my button 2 on it and standby. That's the only things that thing ever does. So I'm not saying that everybody would replace and throw all their old Bio Remote 1s, Mark 2s into the garbage, but I think that a lot of people would consider the adding to the collection with the backlit remote.
I mean, I would for sure buy the backlit one. But also, I have a bunch of BR1s, and I wouldn't throw them away either. I'd just keep them dotted around the house. Like,
Well,
there's no
exactly
reason
what
to
I'm
get
saying.
rid of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would just add that to the collection and have it as a primary remote control for the television that is backlit. especially for movies, right? Because that's always the shits when you're trying to pause or whatever, or like sometimes like they change the speaker preset and then you press back instead of the list, and it's like, what is happening?
Because last week we pulled it and like what is the price going to be and what should the price be, etc. And a lot of people were, I think, hoping for it to be between because the BR1 is what, $450 now, that it would be backlit would be 600 to 800 max. But I think they're going to go over that.
I don't think
if it's a redesign,
would...
right? If it's on the BR1 platform, it's going to be like 100 to 150 more. But I almost don't see them doing that.
Yeah, but if it wasn't a BR1 platform, then a lot of people wouldn't really opt in maybe to buying the entire remote control, but just replace the keypads, because your chassis is fine, your battery pack is fine, unless the shit leaked in it. Then like you can have it as a service on an upgrade option, and here's a backlit BeoRemote 1 chassis.
Wait, I have to explain the poll. If a new backlit remote is $1,000 USD, would you still buy a BR1? Yes means I'm not buying the backlit one. Backlit for the win is like I'm buying the backlit one. Hard decision is like I don't know if I can swing it, and not sure is like I have to see it first, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark says a thing over a ground should be a tablet, not just a remote.
Or is it because it's an inverted question?
Probably you screwed it up, man. We're gonna have.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna have false results now. This poll is no longer valid.
Again in a second. Then.
So yeah, I think that if they introduce the option of having a remote upgrade, that you can just replace the chassis in your keypad in your BeoRemote chassis, I don't think it would be that hard of a pill to swallow.
Whilst I agree, I would kind of just want them to make a new remote.
But that's where I was going with it also. Like maybe it's a better idea just to introduce something that has a bit of a bigger screen with color on it. Maybe something that is, I don't know, like I honestly don't know how you make it so everybody's happy, right? There's always going to be somebody that's going to say something about something. So, but I think the backlighting is essential still. It's always have been a request of mine and many people, not just on the podcast, but even from the inside of the B&O and the shops that have been begging for it. I think that B&O should definitely entertain that idea more seriously.
By the way, Stefan said watching Willie and Mike becoming middle-aged men in real time.
That's it.
I've been telling the missus that we are literally middle-aged, right? Because if you do my age times 2, you're fairly old. If you do your age times 2, you're pretty old.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no guarantee you make it over 75.
Nope.
So, to me, I'm literally middle-aged.
Yeah. We're in Middle Ages.
It's sad to say, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like if you're 50, you're like in your last third, man.
That's it. The gas tank is running out. The gas tank is running out. So, yeah. And that's why I want a backlit remote. I want a backlit remote so I can see with my middle-aged eyes on what I'm pressing. Because,
God, if you don't fix this, I have to buy like these Instagram glasses with like that forward protruding light, right? Like at night I can get.
As seen on TV for the 4 easy payments of $9.99. But I would still purchase a remote, even if they entertain an idea of something like the BO6 with a bigger screen that it was a touch screen, but you make it fast, not just this Hobbleton. And yes, you have tactile buttons on the bottom, which are the primary functions, and then you could possibly browse your BeoNet or B&O radio and or Deezer. That would be sick. and have it on the charging cradle, just like the Beo6 was on or a wall bracket. Do something sexy. I think that would work out, and I think people would buy it. It's the same thing like when Beo5 and Beo6 were around. Not everybody bought one because people were okay with the Beo4.
Exactly. So it happened already, right?
So it happened a few times, Fudge. It happened with the BeoLink 7000 that you didn't have to have that remote. You can just have a BeoLink 1000 or BeoLink 5000. You didn't have to go full retard, right?
Yeah.
But you just do. And if your wallet permits, why not? That's my opinion on it. I think I can nail it more to the ground than already. Get the backlit remote design, guys, or revising the old one, or do something. Get something that has a light on it, because the Halo is cool, but it's not something that you can actively use to browse Netflix per se.
No.
Especially when you have it wall mounted and you're standing in front of the kitchen wall or whatever, like I would, and just go down, 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 and then you turn and your hand runs away to something else, and then all of a sudden you're not pressing the button
Well,
that
that's
you were
one of the
supposed
things
to.
with touchscreens that's shit, right? Like you have no tactile
There is
feeling
no
of where
feedback,
you
no
are on a flat bit of whatever.
glass, which
Yeah,
is gonna be
plastic,
glass.
whatever it is.
So that's one thing, and like, what do you make, like a freaking BlackBerry remote with the keyboard on the bottom and a big square on the,
I mean, keep the diamond in there because the diamond is very B&O, right?
Yes.
You can keep the bottom half essentially, the four color buttons, the list, menu, the diamond, page up, down, volume up, down, pause, play, off.
That's all you really need.
I mean,
Like, the
I
only
personally
extras.
feel that if you take that away, another thing that you end up with, like if you have a remote that is entirely touch, be it an iPhone, new remote, whatever, is you're looking at the remote again to do things.
Yes.
Instead of like looking at the TV and going,
Yeah. It's still better than the Magic remote from LG. That thing is terrible. I hate the wave that wander around.
I'm not that fond of it either, but I think you can
No.
turn the waving off if you want.
Yeah, everywhere I go, I bring my service remote that I bought on Amazon, like the actual LG white, shitty rubber buttons, but you can jam them with the gloves on, and it's no problem. And I just got used to it much better than the, trying to aim shit, and then your cursor runs away. You got to realign it with the screen, and that's gimmicky as hell. But yeah,
Apparently, we're too old to podcast pretty soon.
soon enough. Oh, there's older people than us. We're gonna talk about ships and bridge collapses probably later in our life, or building collapses and
What?
fudge.
Back in my
So
day.
back in my day when the TVs were 4K. So yeah, I don't know. I still have the wish for the remote control. Maybe there's gonna be something different, something new that they'll come up with. Maybe for the 100th anniversary, we'll get ourselves a new remote control. That'd be cool.
I would like that a lot. Like a lot, a lot. Also, because it's way more attainable to more people than, I don't know, BeoLab 100 that are more expensive than 90s, right?
Yes. And what are they gonna be?
Well, make it engrave it, make it a special color, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be lovely because I'll buy one.
Well, yeah, but in the reality of it, it's the only thing we really touch from all the B&O we own.
Yeah.
It's that remote control. I don't go and dab on the buttons on the theater. I don't. I walk by this thing. I never touch it.
I
I
still
wipe
want
the
those
dust
buttons
off
to
it.
be able to be turned off, personally.
I agree 100%. Either like at least introduce a cleaning mode, or just disable the panel if not
Cleaning mode
needed.
with a timer, and I'll just like have it come on for like 1 minute at midnight, and then it's off the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have a unique issue, right, where the cats fucking sit on it, which is kind of weird, but that's, they can't design for every aspect of life. But for cleaning, I think that should have been definitely considered. And it's not just for the theater; it's for mostly all the Mozart platform speakers. Because even if you want to wipe the glass on the BeoLab 8s, you depends which way you go. You turn shit on, pause, skip, turn down or
So what
up.
you do is you open your app to the product you're about to clean. You go
Restart it.
to the volume thing, and then you go.
No, the only way you could honestly, the only way you can bypass it comfortably that you don't have to worry about is to actually go into the app, go to the troubleshoot tab under the settings, and restart the speaker. And while it's being restarted, then the keypad is inactive, so then you can clean it. That's the only, I guess, logical workaround right now that there is, which it's kind of silly. Maybe it's good for the theater that it keeps rebooted every now and then, so clear its cache and so on. But
This is why I
speaking
like
of,
the 18s. They're clever enough to be modern speakers, but they're dumb enough that they just function. This is kind of the
it's
same
just the
with
speaker.
50s and or 90s, right? Like they're clever enough to just be speakers. Like they don't have to. Yes, they have software, but like they're not so dependent on sources and or Google updates or whatever the fuck.
Well, it's essentially like once you set them up once and you, let's say, put a link eye on it, so you use them with the IR and the remote control, you never have to go inside the lab 50s or 90s ever again. And also, same thing, if you have them with the television set up, then you never have to go back to them again because you're using everything, the entire interface is through the menu.
Yeah, only if you buy new furniture like I do. Like, you have to keep on coming back and remeasuring and shit.
So, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I want the walnut covers for the Emerge. I want that for Christmas.
No, yeah. Get us a new remote, something that isn't. I mean, even if it is a Halo with a bunch of buttons on the front, I'd be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Halo as is sort of.
It's a
Yeah.
Bio Living Intelligence remote more or less than anything that you can control your lights comfortably and so on. But I don't see that. Like for me, you know what it is? I have it on the wall here, and it's a turn me down and turn me up if I can't hear. And occasionally, I go and switch a source in it. Like if we're gonna watch a movie, so I just go my button 4 turns on the media player when my girl sits down, and I finish up whatever, get popcorn or whatnot. But that's about it. I do not. It's not a primary function to me. And the only reason why I had put that thing out of the box and put it on the wall is literally just for the sake of the metadata, so I can see what's playing on the Deezer when it's on a Deezer flow. That's
Yeah,
it.
like how I use it. Stefan and Tan ask question: newly tuned 18s with new core versus 8s. And then Tan says, which one is better, 8 or 18s? Better is very subjective.
Yes.
If the frequency range being broader makes it better, the 8 wins. Because the 8 just goes way lower, like what,
Yes.
20 hertz lower almost. It's in like, it goes down to 28 hertz and the 18s go to 45 from memory. 44.
I don't remember, but yeah, it's not that low.
But that's where a lot of music lives, right? Like it's low enough for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Aesthetics matter, I think. Like technically the 8s, like, and I don't mean technically like in like it isn't really the answer, but in a technical sense, the 8s are better in every way. But do you like the looks of them? Look, personally,
Yes.
I'd buy 18s over 8s. Unless I want them, because I have this like sort of wall in my kitchen with like where my BSN2 lives. If I wanted more speakers there, I'd get 8 because like I literally cannot put 18s on top of that. Like the tweeter would be at the ceiling. So placement matters.
But it's more or less, honestly, I guess you're comparing an unfair set of technologies, because 18s are a dumb speaker. They're just a speaker. There is no room compensation and so on and so forth. Where Lab 8s have that. Even if you go through Core Connect, it's not going to like it. Yes, it does make the 18 sound better dynamically, and it's just the perception that the imaging is nicer and more livelier and more present. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna be better than the BeoLab 8s, because it's a completely different chassis, completely different technologies built inside. Yes, they run at the same time on a Mozart platform, same kind of DAX, I guess you could call it, because you're using the Beoconnect core to fire into the 18s. But also that's the same thing. Like, you have a lot of things that you can now modify within the app sonically that was not possible before. Where before B&O was known for bass treble and loudness and balance. That was about it. That's all the 4 sliders you had. Now you have all these speech clarity and envelopment and height and stage width and surround and the Biosonic, which is also a equalizer on its own, and there's just so many options to modify the sound image to your liking that it's very unfair to say, like, because out of the box is out of the box. But if you have that option, like, would you just listen to something out of the box, or would you tune it to something that actually sounds pleasant to your ear in the environment that you live in?
Well, not to mention there's also something of the sound signature. Like, do you like how the 8 sound? Because the bass and mid sounds very good, but I am very biased to an acoustic lens because I'm so used to that being the B&O sound and that sort of air it gives to the highs, which you don't, even on 17s, they don't give that because it's more direct tweeter.
It's a direct firing tweeter, man. That's it.
So, and there's no right and wrong in this. It's just preference, right? I mean, let's see. The 8s are $5,500 US. The 18s are essentially 11,000. So there's also that. Like in the US, if you go by it, you can buy 2 pairs of 8 for the same price of 1 set of 18s with a Beoconnect core. Does that matter? I think it probably does.
You got 2 rooms that you can put stuff into now.
Yeah, or you have a surround system versus just a stereo setup. I mean, if you already have a theater and you think about 18s, but you don't have any rear speakers, why not get 4 8s?
I agree. And sonically, I think they're going to be better on par with the theater than the 18s. Because they're just the same. The DACs are more or less the same in each of them now.
Yeah.
So,
but again, a lot of it is preference because you also have to look at them. So let's fix that question. 1 pair of 8s and 19 is equal to 1 pair of 18s in price. So I think 8 and 19 is a better choice. Yeah, easily.
Oh yeah.
Because the power output is not the same anymore.
Yeah, but you still have to put a Beoconnect core into the equation. Because you cannot,
on the basis that you have the equal source, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
At least I'm assuming that you have an equal source, because I mean, if you're asking like 18s versus 8s and neither essentially have a source, then okay, they don't play anything. I guess the 8s could because they have an internal source, but it's a slightly unfair question that way. Like if you have a theater and you're thinking to yourself 8s or 18s, Marx says, like size, placement, look, cost, sound, room size, room looks, what's your the aesthetic you're going for. It all matters whether one is for you or not. I mean, I personally really like the 8 on wall mount.
They look
And if
quick.
you're
They look pretty snazzy on the wall mounts.
and if you're going for a discrete look in your room where like the speakers aren't a focal point, it's almost a no-brainer, right? Because they look amazing. They look very good. And they're kind of hidden and they're kind of small and they're nice.
But they look so much nicer than the lap 3s on the wall.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the 8 on floor stands. I mean, I understand the practicality, but it looks a bit
odd.
more like a split in half pill that's on a weird stem.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird looking.
I mean, and I
Also,
understand
they're
it.
tall as hell, right? I understand that the people complain about, oh my God, they're so tall. You can cut the pipe down to whatever length and or height you want, but it still looks a little bit odd. I think they look their best on the table stand or on the wall, and or maybe when the ceiling bracket comes down or comes out, that would look they would look pretty slick on that too. But I haven't done the install. The guys installed a set of Lab 8's anthracite on the wall bracket, and I went to actually do some stuff at the house. They look really nice. If Beano didn't add Omni mode in Stereo Pair, I would have sold my balance and got 8s. But the balance sounds so nice now that I would be replacing them. Yeah, it makes sense. Balance is more powerful than 8s in my ears. It just looks differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Balance is very muted. Design was very muted product. I find it's very subtle, too subtle for my liking. But it looks good when you have like the Muto design based house in the interior. It really fits in well with that. But we'll see. What are you reading over there?
I'm trying to look up a picture I saw recently.
What's the picture about?
8's on the wall bracket.
Oh, yeah, I don't have one handy because I'm so bad at taking pictures. I never take it before and after. Sometimes I remember to take an after. But we did a nice job the other day with the BB12. I should have taken a picture of it before and then with the theater on the wall. But too late. Can't find it. Can't find it, bro. So yeah.
Who on the Discord was it? I think it was Flores, I think.
There's one on BNO Instagram, Tamsin Anderson says. So you can probably just Google it too. Aren't they having it on the main website? There should be
but like the that's always different than somebody doing it themselves, right? Like B&O's pictures are not necessarily representative of real world looks, nor are they generally as nice looking as real world, which is kind of
it's more of they're very much of a rendering feel to them.
Yeah.
Scroll down to my Noto link, Sandeep says. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, not to design the people that
Noto Design, I know the company. I got some stuff from them too.
Yeah, 90s.
But that's where the balance in my eyes fits into it. Like design wise or aesthetically speaking. But yeah. Yeah, they look stunning together. Like it's a very nice, coherent design, except the 28s are what they are to me. But the Lab 8s are stunning. It's a stunning product. It's a stunning product. and it complements the theater 100%. I just hope they come out with the walnut grills for the BeoLab 8s. That would be cool, because that's one of those things that I'm hinging on at this point of time. But yeah, maybe once I get to Florida, I might get a set of 8s and I'll put them as rears for the wall. Keep the 18s. But I don't know what to do with the shape if I put that in the bedroom. Because I definitely, now that the Beoconnect core is out and the way it sounds, I'm very curious. Well, I'll have that answered by the next podcast, as far as what the difference is in sound quality versus the old core in the shape. And yeah, based off of that, I don't think that I'm gonna get rid of my shape, even though I don't know where I would put it. So like, you almost need a house with no windows when you have too much B&O, so you can put shit on the walls and don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I like the BeoLab 8s. I wouldn't really necessarily compare them to the 18s, but because it's sonically, they're two different speakers. Eights are
Yeah, they're
way
not the
more
same.
accurate. 8s are way more accurate and precise than 18s that are much airy and forgiving. That's how I would describe that. And you don't have the option of going from, that wide dispersion or wide band or narrow, as far as on the 18s, unless you put the credit cards on the sides of the lenses. So, but yeah, BeoLab 8s are just, they are gorgeous. They are one of my favorite speakers that are out right now. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I like them more than 28s. Exactly because they are small.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're more utilitarian than the 28s. Because putting 28s on the wall, which I'm actually doing it for the first time finally, where we found a person that wants to put them on the wall in this little condo in downtown. But still, the contractor says, they do cut some piece of whatever and throws it into the wall. I'm like, bro, you can't do that in this wall. I don't give a shit what other walls you do it on. You can't have anything loose sitting in this wall. And I also suggested to fill it with insulation. I don't think they've done it, but it would be good if they did, because it's all steel studs. And even though like we make plywood there to attach the bass drivers onto the wall, I think it's going to be dancing
You
it's going to be
probably need
dancing with the stars.
Yeah, for metal studs, you probably need the expansion foam to tie it all together, right?
I
Not
didn't
just.
use any of that.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you put in like the fiberglass or rock wool or whatever, it's not
Mm-hmm.
tying the metal up enough. Like it's
No, it'll still it's got the potential to rattle, but more or less what I would like. See, once you spray that shit inside, there's no possible way to like even run a cable if you need to anymore. Like it's over, right? It's
yeah.
done. Unless you do conduits, which is then not even that it's, cost is not the object, but it's just how do you run it in certain places, and there was no way to run it in that unit unless we would take apart the other room, right? Just to gain access through the wall. So there's sometimes, how properly do you want it done, and how fast do you want it done. And living in Montreal for almost, closing in on 2 years pretty quick, I would say the construction is terrible here. The contractors take forever, and everybody just bangs
This
shit
I
out. There's
found them.
very few people that do a good job at what they do. Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't do I would still run it in the wall, but I guess this is in Europe, so you don't have a choice.
Well, or it's rented. I don't know, but
Or it's,
like anyway, it's a very nice design. I'd like that a lot. And this is what I mean, right? Like B&O will never ever show it to you. Like you'll see a speaker on a wall without any power cables or anything
yeah.
of the sort. and it's not really representative. And I was
The
right.
anthracite ones look nice though.
Yeah, Flores did a great job. I mean, they work really well in a room like this.
Mm. No, they look great.
I mean, if you want to see like actual user experience with a lot of things and not just ask your dealer, come join our Discord.
You probably know stuff before even B&O does sometimes, as far as
Yeah.
bugs and
I
solutions and my favorite of all the workarounds.
mean, yeah, it's just, and I think this is his front. So it just it all matches and it's all very nice and it's a great movie.
Nice. Top Gun.
Yeah, the new one. I still have to rewatch that, like I said earlier.
Yeah, I watched the Prey yesterday, and that was, man, the soundtrack. Like, if you get a very good quality movie, the soundtrack is insane. Picture also, but somebody earlier on said that they went to a UK store to try to play a Blu-ray, and they didn't have that possibility in the chat in the shop. Um, you'd probably be shit out of luck in our shop as well, unless you call in and specifically request that, because the Blu-ray technology is more or less considered dead. We have Blu-rays playing in the main theater, but that's not a B&O equipment in there. But that being said, like, yeah, I would have to set up a Blu-ray just for specifically a demo, and that's just where it's at, man. At the end of the day, out of about 100 theaters that we had currently installed since it came out, I think I can maybe count on both hands that have a Blu-ray connected to them, Blu-ray player. Everybody's got an Apple TV and some sort of a cable TV provider. That's about it. The
I
rest is in the panel.
I wouldn't even think of attaching a Blu-ray to my TV at the moment. I would attach it to my NUC and or server, rip the thing into the Plex media server, right, and then I can watch it forever on demand.
And with no loss or correction that it happens with the disc reading if you damage your Blu-ray or whatever, no
Yeah,
skipping. It's just
like
it's
there is no
all
at
data
this,
there.
like you just do that once, right? And there's I don't think there's currently a reason to attach it to a panel anymore. Like everybody has an old laptop or PC somewhere, right? Like Plex
Yeah.
doesn't need that much.
So yeah, I just I don't see that. I think the Blu-rays are dying. There's a couple people that hang on to them. I have a couple Blu-rays, but I more or less have DVDs from the yesteryears of my music era, and the music DVD videos, which are no longer made by artists because everything is either on YouTube or you can stream it from whichever way. So, and yeah, Max, streaming will only get better, but at the end of the day, uh, it doesn't matter how big the river floats by your house if you only have a 2-inch hose to suck the water out of it, you know. So if your bandwidth does not allow for super high stream, then and obviously the bit rates that load, it really makes a big difference. And I've sat down with my girlfriend. I showed her that, like, here's a movie that is a 1-to-1 Blu-ray bit to bit, and here's the same movie on Netflix in your 4K premium subscription account on my internet,
Yeah.
right? And it's two different pictures. It's the same movie, but the quality of the detail, the pores on the skin, and the shit you can see in something that is 46 gigabytes in file, you cannot possibly download that much data in 2 hours.
Well, they won't upload that much data in 2 hours more.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you would just tax out the Netflix server. Like, imagine if everybody was downloading or streaming, let's say on average, a 30 gigabyte movie, right? If you with your 4K per subscription. Like you just have mushroom clouds going out in server farms because there's no way that that could handle the traffic.
If that was a thing, Netflix would probably say we're $50 a month.
If not more.
Yeah, but I would personally say, like at this point, like just upload the disc to a Plex server. Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me because you've paid for the data, the film, and so it's all legal that way. You can watch it on demand in your house forever or wherever you are, and you can still get it bit to bit, right? Because it's still the original file. Just the way you get it to your TV is slightly different.
Also, not even I guess the Sam Anderson's argument, but is more expensive the subscriptions. So yes, you're right, but I think that the way that I guess my generation used to watch the movies when we went to the blockbuster and you pick stuff and you commit to it, right? Where now I find even with the Netflix, like if we God forbid we finish a fucking season of something, right? Or and then it's an endless hour or 2 hours of just going up and down, left and right to see what you're gonna watch. It's just that's what it is. But if you have a movie like that, like I watched the Prey, which is I'm keeping that file because it's great. Like I'm not deleting it, and it's just something that it's not that I'm gonna watch it every 2 weeks, but let's say 2 years down the road, I feel like watching that movie, and it's well, fuck, they took it off to Netflix.
Lord of the Rings, the proper director's cut ones.
Hmm.
God, they're enormous. Also, they're like 4 hours per movie at that point. Like, buy
Yeah, that's
that
insane.
because
Buy it and rip it. Band of Brothers, like all that kind of stuff. Like that's timeless to me as far as the art of movie making goes. If you look at anything that now modern day and age movies like the new Transformers and all that nonsense, it's nothing but a bunch of garbage CGI, like with a plotless woke nonsense. It's not even fun to watch. So
yeah.
you know
Oh,
the
there's a lot
movie
of
is
stuff
now a
that's
hard
not worth
press.
buying, for sure.
Of course, but it's just like it's a hard press. Like we went to see the Equalizer 3, I believe it was. I fucking fell asleep in the movie, man. The movie sucked rocks, bro. And do I want to pay $50 for a VIP seat to go in and eat fucking nachos in the dark? I'll pass. I'll pass. And quite honestly, I have better acoustic and picture experience in my little fucking studio here on the 65-inch theater than I do with going into a big screen, and like the color's not balanced right, and you always the brightest spot is in the center of the screen because just the physics of the projector bulbs, and you never sit where you want to sit unless you book like 2 3 days ahead of time. So I'm done with that crowd. Yeah, they make better popcorn than I can do in my microwave, but you know what, call this, I don't care.
Ed said Titanic. Titanic is a fantastic horror movie
It is.
because essentially it's a film about an old woman that at the end of her life thinks back about the hobo she used to bang on this ship, and she doesn't give a shit about her own kids at all, and at the very end of it she destroys generational wealth by just throwing it into the sea and going off, oh, I fucked that hobo. That
Oh
is
man.
literally what Titanic is about. Also, she could have saved her favorite hobo, but she chose not to. So
But
it's
I watched the Mythbusters and they could not float both of them. They could have somehow, but it was a plausible but not busted myth. So
even
it
so,
could
she's
have.
still at the end of her life. Like she had a different husband and kids, right? That's implied with all the pictures. But she's like, no, I'm here for the hobo I used to bang like 80 years ago.
That's PTSD, bro.
And then she goes like, I have this thing that's like $80 million that like could set my actual family up that I had for life. And she's like, no, let the hobo have it. That's dead down below there somewhere.
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
that
it's a
movie was
fantastic horror
long.
movie.
That movie was long.
I mean, imagine if you had $80 million, right, and you have kids and whatnot, and instead of like, you don't even give it to charity, you just burn it and say, fuck you.
That's a savage decision. Nana shouldn't have been doing that. Nana shouldn't have access to the lighter.
Yeah, this is like,
That's
what the
it.
hell, man?
Yeah, but there is better movies than that, definitely. But
Well, I mean, Forrest Gump is another one of these where, like, the woman is an absolutely savage, evil person.
yeah, a Masterlink to USB-C adapter. Says that'd be interesting, but that would never happen.
I think somebody on our forum made one.
No way.
I think.
And what would that do? I don't understand.
Well, he made a streamer, I think, where you can stream like your Bio Center 2 to like another AirPlay 2.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe we have to get him on at some point.
Why not? He doesn't have to stay for the whole podcast if he doesn't feel comfortable, but it'd be nice to talk to somebody
This
is gimmicking.
it's a bit of a project.
Holy shit. So that's what is that actually what plugs into the Masterlink?
Yeah.
Because it looks like the board has that's cool. And then RJ45 out for what?
I think you go to. God, just read. It's under the Bio forum. It's
In Discord?
Yeah, because he made this whole sort of streaming box on a Raspberry Pi, I think.
Interesting. Okay, what is that? Oh, that's what.
It's a. Yeah, can I enlarge this?
That's interesting.
So the BeoCenter 2 is like iPad controllable.
No shit. Oh, that's cool.
We're dealing with a bit of a genius.
And metadata too.
Yeah.
That is sick. That is cool, man. See, now I could get behind that to the Bio Center too. Is he gonna be selling them?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh yeah, everything's on the Discord.
That is sick. That is cool, man. I really like that idea.
Yeah, this is what I like about our Discord, right? Like, there's several people in there that like they talk like normal people, but apparently they're geniuses.
Yeah, that's sick.
So yeah, it's quite something.
So that just plugs into the socket. So then basically anything becomes the same interface. So you could plug that to the 9000.
Yeah, here's with a BeoLab 3500.
No shit. This is genius, dude.
Yeah. Oh, this salvages so many older products.
Oh my god, like that revives a lot more than he can think of. Fucking hell. What is it under? Bioforum?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna dig in through that. That is super cool.
PolyPV, I think his user handle is.
Yeah, that is cool, man.
So this is essentially the sort of box he made.
Oh, and then it goes into the streamer.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. I wonder if that streamer actually is the ML connection to that socket bus.
Yeah.
I think that's what that is. I think that plug is just a converter. That is outstanding, man. What does it build on? Like a Raspberry Pi, I guess?
I think so, and I think you can program some shit in there yourself. I think he said it wasn't too hard, but it's
Yeah,
not
for
like,
him, right? Fuck.
no, it's more like clicking things on and off, as far as I
Mm,
understood it. If I haven't read through the thread in a while, but it was like, holy shit, this is genius.
that is genius indeed.
Because I think it's a two-way AirPlay situation where you can uh, potentially stream from your phone to like a BeoCenter 2, and use the speakers attached to it, but also the other way. Like you could, I think, put a CD in your BeoCenter 2 and stream it to like your theater.
Fuck. That is cool. I want that now.
Yeah, so
I definitely want that.
B&O should indeed take note, but like even the people that work for them, like Christian, they make some amazing things, right? And it never turns into a product, unfortunately. But this is partially why this show is here, right? Like I like supporting the tertiary B&O bits, like Skinny Play, like Steve, like this sort of thing,
Hmm.
because B&O is a bit weird about things, but it's the third parties that make things amazing.
No, but that's a complete revival of an older system. Like you could use that with the Beomaster 5
Yes.
and control your Beomaster with it. That's pretty slick, Rick, bro.
Uh,
What are you focusing on?
so one of the comments he made is still waiting for some new PCBs, but invested some more time in optimizing the ML message broker software, making it work answering source center requests. So providing end music and end radio source to offline BeoSounds. The master data tool test string was sent over ML to BeoCenter 2 instead of proper radio station name.
Fuck, he's done some good engineering in there.
Yeah,
Kudos to you, bro. That's awesome work, man. That is an awesome work.
I think he has the initial some of the initial ones for sale. I don't know what costs, but just DM him, I guess.
Yeah, dude. Because that'd be something cool to have.
Join the
Not that I
Discord.
have a need
That's
for it
where
right
you
now.
see awesome shit like this.
Not that I have a need for it currently, but definitely once I bust out the Beocenter 2 in Florida, I'm gonna consider this because that's an awesome product. Especially when like you can if that gives you the ability like even the 3500 to have it streamable to, that's sick.
Anything Master Link, essentially.
Hmm.
Wasn't there a trade-in program for the BLab 5s? Yes.
Yeah, I think
still
it's over
going.
now. Is it? I don't know if it is or not. It might be still going, but we've gotten, I think, only one trade out of it.
Yeah, it heavily depends on where you are in the world.
There's a lot of Lab 5s in Montreal, man. I'm surprised.
Well, the thing is, if you bought 5s in the US, right, most likely your dealer is no longer there if you bought them new.
That's true.
So how would you know this thing exists? There's nobody to tell you.
Yeah, and if you have a BioLab 5s, the odds of having, current equipment or something that is current, even if you have the app installed on your phone, if you have an account set up, the news don't come through no more. Right? So,
Or if you're in Chicago and you get this offer, like, am I gonna ship these things to New York? Like, holy shit, that's far away.
Yeah, at that point, obviously, like if you're buying 50s and trading fives, that's the dealer has to come by and get it
Let's say
because they
you're
have
in
to.
Calgary. Like, where do you go?
No, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Probably Saskatchewan or well, Nick would have to deal with it because at least Calgary there is somebody there that can service. But
Yeah, but do they actively let you know?
no, no,
Yeah, so
nobody knows.
it's like it, in Europe, it's kind of different, right? Because there's like a dealer every 20 miles or something like that in a lot of places. It's
Not in Canada.
no, but the same here. Like, there's nothing in the entire Midwest essentially.
Yeah, it's sad the potential and how much money there is, and it's just sad that BNO's not doing anything about it or doesn't let anybody become a CI, which would be cool.
Oh, it is what it is.
At one point, it'll change.
Well, if they want the American market, they'll have to.
Yeah,
Like, they'll
but they
also
don't have a
have
choice.
to open a lot more stores. Like, you have to be at least in every capital of every state.
Yes, it used to be like that.
Not every state, right?
No, I don't think that
I
they
mean,
had something in
they
Alabama,
essentially
but
they essentially considered Wisconsin to be close enough to Illinois, which is like, depending on where you are, like if you're in Green Bay, you need to drive to Chicago to look at something, right? That's a
they trip.
5 hour drive
Hmm.
one way.
Yeah, but that's nothing unusual here, though, to take the big drives. I guess nowadays it's a little different with the price on pollution and how much the gas is in. But
No,
yeah,
and I
people would always
understand, but
drive.
if you have to drive more than 3 hours one way for audio equipment, you're not gonna buy that much or do it that often. At least not in the
No,
rotation B&O ones.
no, no. People like that, and we obviously have clients that live hours away. It's they buy once and they buy big. They do
I
the
mean,
whole house or they do few rooms in the same time of an install. You do 70, $80,000 installation, and then you don't see them for years to come because they're done and they
I mean,
don't. They
even
don't.
if you look at like the Tri-City area in Texas, like was it Houston, Austin, and Dallas? I
Mhm.
think like each of those cities, they're considered close, right? But it's still like 3.5 hours between all those cities from one to the other. Not like 1, 2, 3 is 3.5. It's like 3.5 hours, 3.5 hours, 3.5 hours. Like, you could easily have three dealers there because what? That's probably 20 million people in that area.
Yeah, but that's the problem. B&O doesn't want to open the shops, and there's not many people that are familiar with the brand enough to risk the money to open their own business, more or less, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of oil money in Texas. I mean, you still have a lot
Oh,
of
hell yeah.
one of these weird private hunting zoos where there's a shit ton of Texans that have like 1,000 zebras on their property and
That's so weird.
giraffes and God knows what else.
That's so weird. But yeah, I don't know. We're definitely there's a big gap in the market in North America. Sometimes, hopefully, it'll change,
Yeah.
or
Anyway,
sometimes through
yeah, I'm gonna call it for today. Join the Discord if you want more of the awesome sauce stuff.
the mass link shenanigans.
Yeah, because that dude is a genius, but then so are others that are like fixing the Netgear Orbi nonsense for multi-rooming.
That's it.
So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a great week and see you next week.
See you next Sunday.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Which button that one?